Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to create a WarLight map. First of all, you're going to need something called Inkscape, which helps you create SVGs, which you upload to WarLight. Anyway, I'll leave the link to download Inkscape in the description. And once you have it, open it up, install it, everything. And then first thing you want to do is go to Document Properties in the File menu. Make sure everything's in pixel units first of all. Usually I just go by 1000 by 1000 and then change the size later. You want the background to be black, but you can also change that later as well. I keep it black from the beginning just so I can see what it'll look like. And after you've got that, this drawing tool here, it looks like you can press F6 for a shortcut. This drawing tool will really help you. It's basically one of the only things you'll use to actually draw the shapes, along with you can draw rectangles, circles, and a few other shapes, but right now I'm going to stick to the draw freehand tool. Well, there are two ways you can use this. You can just hold it down and you'll draw that shape, or you can click points and you'll have straight lines, and then at the end you'll want to connect them to finish your shape. So then you can just draw your outline for your island or your continent or whatever you'd like. And I'll get back to you once I finish that. Alright, I need to show you something called the Fill and Stroke menu. By going to the Object menu, you can find it, click on it, and it'll take you to this panel right here. If you have your island or your path selected, you'll be able to change the fill style, the stroke paint, and the stroke style as well. It really doesn't matter what you choose here. I like to choose something that'll contrast well with the background, but in WarLight it really won't matter what you pick, because the border style will just be depending on what bonus your territory is in, and your fill style, that'll just be the color of the player who owns it. Also, in your stroke style, you can change the border style like this, but that won't matter either. It'll be a solid line regardless. Same with the width, it'll always be 1. Now, click on your island and click on it again, and you'll see how the arrows change. Try dragging some of the arrows, and you'll find some neat effects. Depending on where your island is in the map, you can get some pretty cool styles. For example, if this was in the upper left corner, you could make it look like that, and then the upper right corner you could have it this way, just to have some kind of circular world feel. And if you drew a map freehand like this instead of using jagged lines like I did, and you would have preferred to use that style, you can actually do that without deleting your island. Just select it, press Ctrl L to smoothen it a little bit, and then go to Edit Paths by Nodes, or press F2, Ctrl A to select them all, and make selected nodes corner. And then click away, and then zoom in, and you'll see how the island looks jaggedy like this one does. Alright, so once you've got your map done, the outline done, pretty much the only things you have left to do is add bonuses, territories, and maybe some other art you'd like to add. Something I personally would like to do is just put this back down to the origin 00, which is actually at the lower right, or lower left corner I mean. And then you can go back to Document Properties and change the width and height to about the map's size. So I think mine's about 600 by 600, maybe a little less actually. Anyway, once you've got that, how you'd want to cut territories, you want to add lines. Just draw them like you would a border, but make sure they extend a little bit over the edge, and then select that, and then select the island behind it by shift clicking it. And now you can either do one of two things. You could do division, which is, well, division, click here in the path menu, or control slash. I prefer control slash because it's easier. So now you've got two parts. But usually what you want to do is do bonuses before cutting territories, so you can have adjacent borders for your bonuses. So then, well, let me show you an example of adjacent borders. This is what I mean by adjacent borders. If you look closely, you'll see all three different color borders here, and they don't overlap, but they do touch each other. If you look in the same bonus, for example, these two green territories, they don't have adjacent borders. So that's why you normally want to cut the bonuses before cutting territories. But something to keep in mind while cutting territories is that the army number size is about a 20 by 20 circle. So something I personally do is actually draw a 20 by 20 circle, and I move it around to see if it would fit when I'm cutting territories. If this fits, then the territory size is perfect. If it doesn't fit, then I might need to reconsider the borders I'm drawing. So, how to cut bonus borders? Well, it's pretty simple actually. You just want to draw your basic line that you would normally cutting territories, but instead Control-Alt-C will cause the line itself to become a path, and that means that this thing is a shape on its own. For example, if I go into the Edit Paths by Nodes, you'll see that this line is actually not really a line, it's a shape. Now after you do Control-Alt-C, select your island with shift clicking it, press Control minus, and then Control Shift K to cut it. I forgot what Control minus was, but oh, that was a difference. Basically what that does is that it just takes out the lines area in there, and then Control Shift K just splits off any other parts that this island has. This is two parts that are combined. And now if you do look closely, and even you can select one and change the border color, you can actually see now that instead of overlapping, these borders are adjacent to each other, which looks really nice in WarLight. Alright, something you've probably already seen me do is, especially on these straight line maps, you'll want to end your territory or bonus borders at some kind of corner like that. It makes it look really nice. It's just for visual effect, but I mean, it's used a lot, I've seen in WarLight, and it looks really nice as well. For example, when I'm finishing off this territory border, I'm gonna want to end it right there, in the middle of that corner there. And now I can select this, and shift clicking this to select the bonus, and then Control slash to cut it, just to make sure it looks like an army number would fit in there. Alright, now here's some ways just to make your map look cool. Let's say you wanted to have a mountain range. Well, to do that, I'm just going to open a new a new document so I can use that to draw my mountain, and then I'll just copy it over into the map. You can be really precise with this. I'll try to do it pretty quick, but I might end up taking a while. Alright, what I do is start with a hexagon for the base. You can flatten that out a bit, and then I put that at 0, 0 just so it's easy to find it. I also take off the border. It's easier to work with. And then I go here and just put 3 corners so I have a triangle. This is where the actual mountain. I also put these at even numbers, so it makes it even easier to work with. So now I know if that height is 40, I just put this at 20. And I also copy the same width here, which is 100. Now if I wanted to fuse these two shapes together, I go into the path and click union, or just hit Ctrl+. So now I've got this mountain shape. If I wanted to add different shades to it, like I do on most of my maps here, for example, what I'll want to do is duplicate it by pressing Ctrl+D, and I go to the Edit Paths by Nodes menu again, delete 2 nodes at a time, then make everything a corner. You can see how that looks easily by changing the fill style. So what I just did there was copied that, deleted some of the points, and now I have this triangular shape. Now I'm just going to do that again to get the middle one, and then I'll do that one more time to get the right one. Again, I'm going to change the fill style. Alright, now when you've got your 3 triangles that fit right next to each other, you want to also make sure that you still have your background. You'll need that, and you'll see why. Well, anyway, if you don't have it, undo and just try again. Make sure you duplicate this every time you cut a new triangle out. Well, what you want to do right now is select all 3 of these in the front, right-click and click Group. So now all of these are basically one shape right now. Now, copy this over, the whole thing, including the background, into your map here. It's a bit big, obviously, so you can size it down a bit. That looks a lot better. Now what you want to do is, looks pretty good. Put it where you want. And now, just select the back part, and select your territory or whatever at the same time, and now press Ctrl+Shift+6, and that'll cut out your mountain part. If something like this happens, you can just press Ctrl+Shift+K, and then you've got that remove other part. And now you have this cut out, and you've got a mountain here. Another thing you could do is draw a lake, just by doing the same thing that you would when drawing your islands. Just draw like a little shape in the middle, select it, then select your thing, and again Ctrl+Shift+6 will cut out that middle piece. Something that's really helped me out in map making was every time I made, for example, a mountain or a tree or any kind of thing I used in a map, I'd paste it onto one SVG file that I could always come back to use for my maps. So if I ever needed a mountain or even a boat, for example, I could just come here and just copy it onto my map. And also, a nice thing about trees is basically once you have a mountain made, all you gotta do is add a tiny rectangle at the bottom, change the mountain's colors to green, and you've got a tree. So if you wanted to add trees to your map, that's how you'd do it. And I strongly suggest every map maker to do this too. It really helps out and speeds up the map making process by a lot. Alright, so in most of my maps, you'll see that I always use this blue kind of outline. If you want that in your map, it's fairly easy to do. What you want to do is select all your territories, so basically select all but just deselect your trees and mountains. And once you've got that, press Control D to duplicate it, Control plus, or find Union here to fuse them all together. Press this or End to put them in the bottom layer, and now all you have to do is increase the stroke width, and you can change the color as well. And now look closer, and you've got this like border. You can do that as many times as you'd like. Always duplicate it, press End or put it in the bottom layer, increase the stroke width, and then change the color. And now you'll see it's giving you this nice coastline, if you will. And it also does that inside the lakes, so that makes it look really nice. But remember, this border closest to the territories, the light blue one in my case, you'll not see that in WarLight because that's the actual territory border. So if you want your coastline to start with the light blue, then you'll want to put that one, the second one, as that color, then the third one as your next color, and then you can continue to create them if you want to. Now after you've got that, you can create some C connections pretty easily. Just draw a line. You can also, once you have this selected, you can increase the smoothness. It'll automatically create a smoother line when you draw it. So you see that? It looks like a pretty good C connection. Now this time you can change the width and the stroke style. If you change the stroke style to something like this, or anything other than solid, then you'll need to convert this to path with Control-Alt-C. Otherwise, it will show up as a solid line again in WarLight. It doesn't matter if you have this on a layer above territories, because in WarLight, they will always put territories, well, they will put bonus links in the topmost layer and territories in the top layer right below that, I mean. But just for the sake of, I don't know, I put this in the bottom layer anyway, just to make it look nice, just to see what it'll actually look like. And again, just keep drawing your C connections. You can do multiple ones at a time and then select them all to change them all at once. And make sure Control-Alt-C to convert it to path. So now you've got your C connections. And for bonus links, I prefer circles, but you could do squares, triangles, stars, hexagons, whatever shape you'd prefer. So create that. Make sure the stroke style is something reasonable. And if you don't want the yellow border to show up in WarLight, you can change the alpha, or the opacity, to 0 on the stroke paint, and so you'll only see this in WarLight. You will not see the yellow border. So I think the minimum size for a circular bonus is about 13 by 13, so anything above that, you'll be good. I think 15 by 15 looks pretty nice. And also, if you put a bonus link right in the corner of especially 3 territories, it looks really nice, and a lot of popular map makers do that. There's just a few more things you have to do before uploading your map to WarLight. One thing you must do is you must specify which ones are the territories, because right now WarLight would have no idea. So the way to do that is to go into the Object Properties menu, and you'll see 2 properties for each path that you have, or each territory if you think about it that way. For the ID, every territory that will be a territory, you must type territory underscore and then a number. You can start at 1, you can start at 100. It doesn't even have to be in order. It doesn't matter, but the way that WarLight will recognize which ones are the territories is that it will have this kind of code here. But yeah, you cannot have 2 of the same ID. So if I tried to put this one also as territory 1, it'll say ID exists, so I'll have to put it territory 2. Fortunately, well, I mean, this would normally take a long time, but fortunately there's a plugin made, and I'll put the link in the description so you can have it. And all you have to do is select every territory, and then go to the plugin menu, and then click WarLight Rename, and then it'll automatically give you everything you need. Just hit apply, and then if you check it out, every territory will already have its own unique ID. And for the bonuses, you must type bonus link underscore and then the name. Like, if I wanted to name a bonus the North as 2 words, I must have it 1 word here, but in WarLight, when I'm adding the bonuses, I can put a space there. Alright, one last but very important tip I have is adding text. It's pretty much self-explanatory. All you have to do is click the text tool, scroll down, find a font that you want. I always use this one font called Viking. It looks really cool, especially on maps. The size doesn't actually matter because you can resize it, just like resizing territories and stuff. You want to type what you want and change the color. Oh, it didn't change the font for some reason. Alright, change the color, and then what you want to do is select it, and then Control-Shift-C will convert it to path. For some reason, WarLight cannot read text, it can only read paths. Just like we had to convert these to path, I'm going to have to convert this text to path, so it will show up in WarLight. And you can resize that. And then something I usually do is I duplicate it, move it down a little bit, and then brighten the color so it has some kind of shadow. Also, for naming bonuses, I personally use my own random name generator that I made, so it helps me out making maps quickly. I'm sure there are a lot of random name generators online that you could easily find. I'll see if I can find one and put a name in the description, so then you could use that. Alright, once your map looks complete, all the territories are named, all the bonus links are named, you can finally go to WarLight. Go to the Help tab, click on How Can I Make My Own Map, and then click on Uploading Your SVG. Make sure to enable map development. I'm not going to click on it since I already have it, but once you have that, go to the multiplayer tab and you'll see a new sub-tab here called Design Maps. Click on that and then click Create New Map Family. Find your map. You can give it a name. You can give it a description if you like. Descriptions are optional. And then click Edit Selected Version. Now you'll see your maps here. The first thing that you want to do, well, the first thing that I do at least, is I click on Set Center Point, and at the same time I click Show Example Armies. That way, when I click on my territories to set a center point, I'll already see the army numbers. These are just random numbers. So you click on those, and then when you've completed that, you can also go to the bonuses window. And then you can look back to your map, you can check out some of the names, and you can just copy and paste them if you're lazy like me, or you can type them out. You can also change the armies per turn and border color if you'd like. So I've got a few of these. I'll just do one island and then I'll do the rest on my own. I like to type out all the bonuses first and then edit them. As you can see, if I add a space there, WarLight seems to be fine with it, but if I just type some random junk here, it'll say missing bonus link. In SVG, you should add a bonus link called that if you wanted to add that as a bonus, but of course you don't, so just delete it. Alright, so I got those bonuses for that island. Now what you want to do, click Select Territories, and then this time you want to control click to select multiple. So once you've got them in a bonus, scroll down to find it. It's right here. So now whenever I click on Northern Zyvan, it'll select these territories automatically. So that's pretty nice. So you can do that for the rest of your bonuses. You always want to do the lower tier bonuses before the super bonuses or mega bonuses, whatever you want to call them, because the borders of these will be the first, will be the color of the first bonus you set them to, if that makes any sense. So now, after you've got all those, now you can select all the territories in your super bonus and set them to that. Now I'm going to go back to the bonuses window, and right here I can see how many territories are in each one, so that'll help me determine the values for each of them. So most of the time bonus values are about 1 or 2 less than the number of territories they contain, so this one seems fine. This one I'll decrease to 3, this one I'll keep, this one I'll decrease to 3, and this one I'll decrease to 3 as well. And so now you can change the border colors as well. And like I showed you earlier, if you zoom in closely, you'll see that the different color bonuses, their borders are adjacent to each other and not overlapping, which indeed does look very nice. Alright, so once you're all done with that, you can name your territories. I've already finished that, but you can see when you click Select Territories and then you click on one, the territory name is the first property that comes up. And just a couple of things left. One thing is connections. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. All you have to do is just draw the line where you need to go. If you have a connection that wraps around the whole map, you can use this kind of connection. I personally didn't use any in this example, so I won't be doing that. But there's also this kind of cross connection if you needed to use that as well. Distributions is another important thing. Add a distribution, you could just call it fixed warlords, or whatever you want. You can make it default or not default. A normal distribution, all you do is just select a few territories and just add them to fixed warlords. But for example, if you created a scenario distribution, well, you probably all know about that anyway, but in case you don't, I could name 3 different parts to this scenario. One of them would be called Ayara for this island, the other one would be Kuzia for this island, and the third one would be Zyvin for the third island. So now this scenario, I'll just call it 3-player game, and for the 3-player game, each person gets one part of the scenario. So this player gets Zyvin, this player gets Ayara, and this player gets Kuzia. And after you've finished that, really the only thing that's left is to publish your map. But of course, you'd want to test it first. Right now I cannot do that because I haven't finished doing connections, but you would be able to change the selected version mode to testing or public. If you chose public, it would take about a couple days. Fizzer or Nathan would have to review the map before it goes public. One thing you can do though is click link for sharing, copy that and open that in a new tab, and you'll actually see a pretty good preview of your map. If you added connections, then you'll see that the ones that they connect to. You'll also be able to see the distributions that you added. So it's pretty neat, and once you completely finish your map, it goes public. I'll finish mine real quick so you can see. Alright, so now that I've got my map done, I can put it in testing mode, or I can also put it public. So when you put it in testing mode, you can create single-player games on your map, or you can create practice multiplayer games on your map. So I'm just going to create a single-player game just to see how it is. Go to custom game, and then when you go to map, you will see a new item on this list called your testing maps. Click that and you'll find yours. You can go to your distribution, click on your distribution you want, or you can just use one of the default ones and try it out. And there's the map. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it really helped. If you liked it, subscribe. Nah, just kidding, I don't care. But if you need some more help, message Ninja Nick and WarLight. I'll be glad to help. And good luck map making.